Welcome to Fit Over 50. This is a community for women that are in the menopause phases. You don't have to be 50 to join us because menopause symptoms can start earlier than that. But my goal in this is to create a community where we get together, we can discuss things, I can share some information of the research that I've been finding, and most of all for today is just a good workout. So I want to start with the basics and fundamentals. So I'm going to just give you a little taste of what this workout might look like. All you need is two 10-pound weights with you. If you feel like you haven't been doing anything in a while, you can do 5 pounds, but this will give you the opportunity. And this is just going to be a little 15-minute workout. So we're going to warm up a little bit by just doing some marching in place. And I want you to, I tend to work out barefoot because it helps me to really feel the ground well. Our feet is what actually has a big part in the ground. Once our foot hits the ground, everything above changes. And so oftentimes our feet need to be retrained on how to really hit the ground well using the outside of the foot, the inside of the foot, and the heel. Now we're going to go into butt kicks. And some of these are nice little easy warm-ups. If you wanted to, you could always start with just an easy warm-up. My hope in this class is it's an 8-week class, and we'll work out together so that we can get stronger, and we can also do this a couple times a week so that we can really get our heart rates up, but also just get stronger in general. So we're just going to do a kind of a quicker warm up today, but this is something that will just get your heart rate going, get you warmed up. We're going to do walkouts. So you can head down, walk out, give a little extension, and come back. Reach up, bend over, walk out, arch, and work your way back. And one more. Reach up, down, out, arch, and back. So the first exercise we're going to do is a bridge with an overhead press. So you're going to get on the floor. You're going to take your two 10-pound weights. Your feet are going to be bent up towards your butt as far as you can go. You're really going to press your feet into the ground, and you're going to lift up into that bridge. If you feel it in your hamstrings, that means you're not pushing into the ground with your feet as much to use your butt, and you're using your hamstrings more. So we're going to do one arm up and down. Now, the easier version of this is to stay up in the bridge. Actually, it's easier and harder because you're working pretty hard just to stay up here. Or you can lower and lift as you alternate at the same time. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. During this class, my plan is to start off with more basic fundamentals and then work our way up from there. The next exercise we're going to do is a dead bug. So you're going to arch forward and back with your back. Find midway. You're going to bring your legs up into what we would call a tabletop position, or knees and hips at 90 degrees. Both weights are going to come up towards the ceiling. You've got a good grip on those weights. Again, they can be hand weights. They can be anything you have at home that you can put in your hands that gives you a little bit of resistance. We're going to let one leg go out as one arm comes down and come back. Now again, some of us are a little more coordinated than others, so you can start by just keeping both arms up and letting one leg come down. To make this a little easier, it should not be in your back. Bring your leg up more to a 45-degree angle so that you're challenging it a little bit, but you're not feeling any low back pain. or you can make it harder by bringing it down and up on either side. And what you'll find is sometimes your body wants to turn and twist a little bit. So it's important to go slow and breathe with this exercise. One more each side. The most important thing is to do what is best for you, not to try to push too much harder. Now we're going to do side plank. I want side plank on your knees and elbow. Your elbow should be even almost a little more tucked in underneath your shoulder. Your hand is going to be placed on the floor. You can take this weight in front of you. I'm going to keep my knees so that they're in line with my hips. So when I raise up, I'm in a completely straight line. This is the best clam you can do because I'm pushing down with this leg into the ground, pushing with this elbow into the ground to get a nice arch there. And I'm just going to pull this weight up and hold it and bring it back down and come down. I'm going to lift, pull up like I'm rowing back with my arm, bring it down, come back down. Now, if I want to make it a little harder, or if my knee's feeling a little sore being in that position, I can leave my foot on the floor to make it easier, or I can lift my leg off the floor. Again, I'm pressing down with that knee on the bottom and pull up, down, and lower. It's really important you do not feel this in your shoulder. And if you keep that elbow underneath your shoulder, you shouldn't feel it there at all. We're going to swap sides. So if this does bother the elbow, then sometimes just getting used to this position without lifting your hip will work for you. We're going to lift up, bring this up. And again, I can make it harder by bringing that leg out, lift, and pull, down and lower. So my weight is really pushing through not just the leg, but also the elbow so that I'm getting this whole side body nice and strong. My head's staying in a neutral position and I'm really pressing through. You're always going to find one side is harder than the other, and that's okay. That's the side that we just want to spend a little time focusing on. And if you find that, the goal would be that you can then go through these exercises another time during the week to just get stronger. Excellent. Now we're going to do a pointing dog. A lot of these you've probably heard as exercises for physical therapy, but they're really functional exercises because they are working the whole body in a chain, not just one body part at a time. So my toes are going to be tucked under onto the floor. My hands are on the floor and I'm pressing into the floor so my arms aren't shrugged down. And if I could press in my toes, I could actually lift myself up off the ground. That's how much your toes are really working in the ground. I'm going to take this weight that I have here. You could use a bag of rice, you could use anything that is helpful. Now, if you're new to this exercise, you can just work on reaching one leg out and bringing it back, and reaching the other leg out and bringing it back. The goal is that I don't lose my shoulder pressure, but also that I don't twist my body up or down. Sometimes adding the weight actually helps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach my left leg out and drag the weight across to my right side. I'm going to reach my right leg out and drag the weight across. It's actually easier if you have more of a bag to drag, but this is a good place to start with just your weight to be able to get the more of the function of the exercise and the form to be what it needs to be. and we drag it across. Now, if you had a weighted bag, even a backpack or something, that would just give a little more resistance as you go. But notice my back is staying level. I'm not rotating through my hip, and this will provide some core stabilization. Excellent. Then we're going to get into a kneeling position. Again, my toes are tucked under. I'm in a nice upright posture. I'm going to face you for this. We've got our weights in our hand. We're going to do a bicep curl with an overhead press. Now, if your knees are sore, just use a pad to sit on. So I'm going to do alternating. So one curls up, presses over, comes down, straight down. As I'm doing this, this other weight is preventing my body from doing this. So I'm working my core as I'm doing my arm and bicep work. So it's a little bit more of a complex workout, but it targets more than one thing, and how our body works together. It uses those muscles, and you should actually feel this in your butt muscles because you're pushing your toes into the ground and you're using your core to keep your body upright for this exercise. And if you notice, I'm doing things on my back, on all fours, kneeling. And the next one we're going to do is half kneeling. So one knee's down, my toe is still tucked under because I'm pressing in with that toe. I'm going to drop down to one weight and we're going to do a chop and lift. So this is working on that diagonal. It's super important that my hips are level. Sometimes when we're in the half kneeling, we end up like this. So you want to drop that hip and we're going to chop and lift. And we're going to do 5 each side. So you've probably already gotten there while I was chatting. Good. And then I'm going to swap sides. So each of these positions are the base neurologic positions that a baby goes through. So on your back, on your belly, or on all fours, kneeling, half kneeling, and then standing. So the next one we're going to do standing, we're going to do a bent over row. So it's important that that bent over row, I've got a good staggered position. I'm literally just bending at the hips. My back isn't bending. This stays nice and neutral. And I'm gripping with my feet with them slightly bent here. So I'm going to take that weight in my hands in that bent over row, and I'm going to row back, squeezing my shoulder blades together and letting them down. Now to make it a little harder, I can do one at a time. What this does is, again, one weight is wanting to pull me this way, but my core has to stabilize so that I don't rotate. And the important part is to really squeeze the shoulder blades down and back, pressing through my feet. So I should actually feel this in my butt. So that's just a little taste of what I want to do, going from on your back into all those different positions to work on your core. Your core really is this whole area. And the more stable my core is, the more easily my arms and legs can move without pain. And that's the goal of this workout. Little quick cool down. I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite exercises. Bow and arrow is one of them. We're going to lay on my side. Big deep breath in, reaching forward, knees are tucked up, and exhale and go back. Big deep breath in, and exhale and go back. I'm going to do 3 of those. And then my next favorite one is called pretzel. So I'm going to take my leg and make like a pretzel. So I'm going to show from this angle. I'm holding my leg here and I'm bringing it back. And this gets a good deep breath in and a deep breath out. So from this point of view, my knees are tucked up and I'm rotating backwards towards the floor. I usually do 3 breaths this way. And then the breaths would be, again, getting into that, I call it a breathing pretzel. That works really well to just loosen up your whole spine, front and back in those diagonal patterns. And it gets a good quad stretch as well. And we're just going to do a quick hamstring stretch with a nerve glide. And I can get the top of the bottom leg and by stretching that out. And the goal is to start with your knee bent and then straighten. It's not about how close your knee is towards your chest. It should be right above your hip. But this gives you a little bit of a nerve glide. We're going to swap sides. The bottom leg is really pressing into the floor. And this just gets a nice little stretch in that hamstring, but also glides the nerves. Nerves don't like to be stretched. And so this gives a good glide. So that's just a little quick taste of what I am hoping to create for a good workout program. I hope you will join me at Fit Over 50.